I'm going to be filling in my 90 HP 6U Blackhole case, and I figured I would press record just to document it. This is one of my favorite parts of Eurorack, is being able to take everything out, give everything a dust and a clean, reconfigure, rearrange, remove, add, all of those things. And so I figure maybe it would make a nice video. Before we get started, I just received this. This is a Hikari 4-channel mixer. This is not sponsored. I just happen to have it on the desk, and it is so slick. It's got left-right panning on 4 channels and a master fader, and 4 inputs, left-right output, phones, and standard center negative 9-volt. And it looks amazing. I just thought, the world should see this. Again, not sponsored. I bought this with my own money. But, what a nice little box. Perfect for small desk jams. But anyway, moving in and on to the build. So this is going to be a largely make noise case with some deviation. I spent a long time, I've had this case in many configurations for quite a while, and every time I reconfigure it, I feel like I'm getting closer and closer to its final form. The first module is the ubiquitous maths. I struggled a long time trying to decide what set of utilities. Utilities and modulation make the instrument, in my opinion. So, obviously maths is everywhere, but 20 HP, it's large. But, for a patchable instrument, it does so much. Mixing, attenuverting, function generator, clock dividing, so many things. There's a million videos on everything it can do. It's just definitely worth having in the case. Next up is just a mult. And just to talk more about the maths, the PDF that's online that has all of the different, patch suggestions and how to do this and how to do that. Like, I see that single document as one of the largest drivers of experimentation with maths. I'm sure tons of people just get it and use those two as envelope generators. Like, I'm sure of it. That's what I used it for like the first year I had it. And then slowly, as I tried to make each case I have a singular instrument, whereas, some people like giant cases with infinite options. I tried to, and continue to try to, condense, solidify a set of features inside of the instrument so that it can produce a range of sounds or a range of styles of sounds, and that's all it does. Just like any other, if it were a base station 2, base stations 2 can do all the things it can do, nothing more, nothing less. And when you need a functionality, you reach for that thing. Well, that's kind of what I'm going for here. For so long, I've been interested in like vocalizations and, not necessarily standard subtractive synthesis, but pulling in those sounds from like vocalizations and like the granular side of that. So that's what this is going to be kind of pointing towards. For that, and with that in mind, a second maths. The the space that these two modules, three modules with the mult, it takes up is like a quarter of this case. But given the amount of functionality and patchability that just one maths offers, with two, it's more than double. I mean, combined, you just can get so much more complex. And for me, for now, that's worth it. I have tried with one maths and a Vulcan modulator, LFO with, and I had the mind meld, so you can toggle the waveforms for all the difference and some waveforms out, and that was great. But I realized, if I need clock division and three envelopes, and then two additional channels of attenuversion, it's like you can't do that with one maths and a complex LFO generator. You just can't. It doesn't line up like that. So this is it. Obviously, with two maths, you're gonna have to spend a lot more time designing or imagining and then designing your functionality. But again, that's part of the joy for me. All right, so moving on. Next up, we have a version 1 rung divisions from Fancyyyyy, and this is a pulse divider and rungler. You have to feed it a clock, which, in my opinion, is the only flaw in this module. Is there is no internal clock. I wish it did. That would have saved me some headache on this build in particular. But you feed it a clock and it will do pulse divisions here. Each one of these is an output. It also gives you a summed bus output for these divisions, and you can toggle each division over into the bus. So you can get complex trigger or gate sequences, which is nice, and that's exactly what it's for. It also has a rungler, which is some Turing-esque random voltage situation over here. I don't use that much, but I definitely want to explore it more, which is why it's in this case. The multiple clock outs is something that I think is often overlooked. Clock modulators, I think it's so often overlooked in Eurorack. Another benefit of the maths, the end of rise and end of cycle, gate outputs. I don't see a lot of patches with them, other people's patches. It doesn't seem like a big thing. I think it's an oversight. I think I came up in the music world as a drummer, so my mind is rhythmically oriented. So anytime I'm thinking anything, I'm thinking we gotta spread these pulses out. We gotta get these timing and these shuffles going. But that's what a clock modulator will do, and that's why I really like this. I've got the version 2, but as this is such a small case, and the version 2 has dual buses, but at the expense of more HP. And for this case, I just couldn't squeeze it in. What with not the two giant maths over there. So next up is the only, I guess, oscillator-based sound source in the Telharmonic, SoundHack Telharmonic from Make Noise and SoundHack. What a unique module. It sounds it has such a signature sound. You know when you're listening to it, you're like, oh, it's just got that sound, that tone. With the phase out, particularly, but the centroid and flux parameter. Those, when those are modulated, it's so signature to that module that I don't hear it in any other module. Another feature of this is like the built-in, I guess, programmed music theory with the interval control and degree and all of that, and it's so easy to make complex sequences of musical notes. It just makes it easier. And whether you know theory or not, I think everybody has at least maybe some grasp that certain notes go together. That we know when it sounds good, we know when it doesn't, but this allows you to really move through musical ideas pretty effortlessly. One other feature of this module that I like is the noise out. The noise on this is kind of pitchable, if you will. And I haven't paired them yet, but the noise output into this next pair of modules is one of the driving ideas by where it's placed in the case. And the next two here are going to be the make noise fix filter, FXDF, and Rix Mix. So that's these two. So if you don't know, fix filter, you send a signal in 6 dB or 12 dB cut, and then this fixed filter bank. So these are just filtered at certain hertz, and that's the bands that are come out low pass. This is connected with an aux cable an expander cable that goes to the Rix Mix, which routes these 6 outputs to these 6 inputs. So you can scan. This is like a scanning mixer with Vactrols and with a cool spread function called, I think, Radiate. I think that's what the Radiate is called on here, which allows you to, oh my goodness, limit and expand and modulate the amount of bands that are coming through at one time. This also, you can connect to the back of a DPO for all the different waveforms, which there's a few videos out. Sounds amazing too. But with this, what I like about it is, with the noise into here, so I've heard, you can get very unique percussive sounds out of it. And that's kind of the goal with this combo, is to be able to explore percussive sequences. So we've got really good gate modulation here. We can strike to open the Vactrol, and then we can modulate the rhythmically which channel or channels are open for interesting like percussive elements. So funny story, I picked up the fixed filter from a guy in, like, I don't know, Sweden or something, and it shows up and it's got pretty bad rash, and it's whatever, it doesn't impede the functionality, and I'm not a collector, so it'll do what it'll function, and that's the main thing. But I got the Rix Mix off a guy, I think he was in LA, and the listing said it had never been racked. And I'm like, of course, everybody lists everything as mint, like the fixed filter was listed as mint or excellent condition. It's like, clearly it looks like it's been chopped up with a lawnmower or something, but whatever, people are going to do what people do. Well, the Rix Mix shows up in the original box, the original packaging and everything, and like, I kid you not, the holes, the mounting holes, it was clear. It literally had never been racked. the silver on the blue had a bluish, the silver on the panel had a bluish tint. It was so new. Not a speck of dust. It's like when you buy used modules. If you buy used modules, you know what I'm talking about. It shows up with, skin and hair and, other biological essence in every nook and cranny. And this one showed up and was just, absolutely mint condition. And like I said, I'm not a collector, but I would like to pass it on to, if and when I ever sell it, in the same condition I got it. And like that's just amazing. So there we go. That is the top row. That's the top row of the small black hole case, and it's a pretty fine row. It's funny, I spend so much time on modular grid, like so many people do, just trying to maximize space and not leave any gaps and, get everything exactly right. And this is the first case in a while where I've done that, where there's not much room. Actually, I don't think I have any spacers. Up next is the Make Noise Wogglebug, another famous Make Noise module. The primary reason I've got this one in is for the clock. This case is going to be used to generate samples. So I'm going to always run this through like a SP404 to grab samples of, to mix, to cut and chop and expand musically that way. So I very rarely will have a clock source coming into the system from some other instrument, drum machine or whatever. So the need for a clock was there. And I didn't want to use a whole mass channel for a clock. And again, if the rung divisions had an internal clock, then I might not have the Wogglebug. But the Wogglebug brings a ton of other functionality. In particular, the external influence control. I love feeding it an LFO or a sequence and then being able to increase randomness into that sequence. That way, in kind of like in a Turing module, you can lock it in with no random, but then you can slowly bring it around and start to modulate and jump off of the main line into the other steps. Of course, you would need to bring that through a quantizer, to be able to do that. But we've got that covered in spades in the next module. So that is a Renee Mark 1 in white, glorious. I've only ever owned the Mark II, so I'm very familiar with Mark II functionality, and from what I've seen, this case is going to benefit from the Mark I, it's not a downgrade. I say it's got some different features than the Mark II. I think if you use the Cartesian channel on the 2, you can get a lot of what's going on in this one. But it is what it is. It's still used. I think it's an absolute bargain. Right now, you can pick up a black Renee Mark 1 for like $200. And as far as unique sequencing goes, I don't think anything even comes close. I've got a Metropolis, which is unique, and I use it to make electro bass lines and, that sort of thing. And it excels at that for sure. But like pound for pound, the idea of Cartesian sequencing, I mean, it's just, it's a stroke of genius. It's brilliant. And the Mark II with 3-dimensional Cartesian sequencing, I mean, what can you say? Great module. So the Mark One, again, not super familiar with it. I know what it can do. You know, I've read the manual. This is the first time actually racking one up, and I was lucky enough to find a white one in Germany, and thanks to that fella for shipping it out. He was kind of reluctant, didn't want to ship international, but, you know, made the deal, and boom, it's in the case. So, okay, moving on. Again, I promise I'm not a collector, but this case does have some rare modules in it, you know, and the next one is no exception. This is the ERD worm. This has got the speak and spell, you know, voice amongst other voice chip styles to do vocalizations and phonemes and phonetic glitchy noise. And this has been the driving inspiration for this entire case, since even before I was able to find one. They're kind of rare. They're hard to get. When they go on sale, they sell out in like 2 minutes. So it's limited quantities. All of those things, you know, it's just hard to get. I don't think I overpaid. I don't think I overpaid for anything in here, to be honest. It's just like everything, whether you buy Eurorack modules or shoes or watches or whatever, you know, you wait for the deal. And, you know, I was lucky enough to find one on the Mod Wiggler buy sell trade. So, but great module. I love it. I love it to death. This and a trigger sequence, and up until recently I was sequencing it with a Hikari Analog Sequencer 2, which was an 8-step sequencer, but had like variable lag slide on the up and down. So really cool effects running through here. And then obviously you can trigger samples with gate step as well. But yeah, amazing module. And then 3 modules to go, not a lot of room. So I'll pull up the next one, which is the Make Noise Phonogene. Now, the shared system, the Make Noise shared system, was one of my first and earliest purchases of Eurorack, all because of the shared system from the official Make Noise channel video demoing it, and it gets to the portion where the phonogene is demoed, and that was the sound I've been hearing in my head, you know, my entire life. So I'm like, boom, that's it, got to get one. So I ended up getting a shared system, complete, upgraded even. It had extra modules in it, but it had a morphogene. And I'm thinking to myself, perfect, morphogene has an SD card slot. It's got, I can save stuff, I can load reels, all of that, all of those things, you know, like that's what it needed to be. Morphogene, you know, is perfect. But morphogene just doesn't have that sound. It doesn't have that phonogene lo-fi grittiness, you know, and maybe that's a good thing, maybe it's a bad thing, I don't know, maybe it depends on your preference and everything. But for me, the phonogene was where it was at. So, you know, piping samples into here and then either sequencing with Renee and modulating with the maths, I mean, just rips it up. You get those vinyl-y schmears, like it's so lo-fi and good. And like I said, you know, that's the sound I've heard in my head my entire life. So ecstatic to find it, and it literally one of the reasons I got into Eurorack after avoiding it for so many years due to, the obvious pitfalls. In previous incarnations of this, for delay, I had a make noise echophone. Obviously, we don't have enough room for it. One of the better delays I've found out there. Here is the Xaos Sarajevo Bucket Brigade individual taps. If you've got something like the wrong soundstage or a nearness or some kind of switching, run these through a fast switch into something that will do panning, X-pan or something like that. These are brilliant. You're tapping each output, so you can do really cool stereo schmears, that kind of thing. But this is a great dark sounding delay, and coupled with the phonogene, it kind of elicits some of the make noise system concrete case. It's still, obviously it's no echophone. Echophone is a very unique delay module, but Sarajevo holds its own with that dark delay sound. Finally, an HPO, ALM HPO, HP0. There's a headphone output unit. It just had to be done. Like I said, I wanted to use this case for sample generation and experimentation, and that means I need to be sampling it with headphones. I want to be able to take this to not necessarily the couch or whatever, but not necessarily turn on the whole studio to make some sounds with it. So I opted for a slim headphone out unit, as slim could be, because I only had 2 HP left, and it works great. It works great for that. So for the monitoring part, now if I'm sampling, sometimes I will go out of the case directly into the mixer, and then I'll monitor from the mixer. But if I can get close to sounds through headphones on the case itself, then that's just a benefit. So I tuck in these last couple of modules. What do you think? What do you think of the case? This is not really content for content's sake, but this is one of my favorite parts. Like I said, this is therapeutic for me. So, do you enjoy this? Do you enjoy this video? I've got a couple of other cases that are in line to get reworked. Should I turn on the camera for those, or nah? Leave a comment, leave a like. If you want to hear what this sounds like, hit subscribe. I will, or I plan to anyway, do a video with some noise coming out of this thing. This one's already running pretty long, 30 minutes or so, so I'm not gonna spend time hooking it up and all that business. But yeah, that's what it is. So if you have anything to add, anything to comment, please do so. Tell you what I'll do. I'm going to tighten all these up. We'll get a good look at it. I'm going to hit pause on the recording. I'll spend 10 minutes, 20 minutes throwing a quick patch together just to see what happens. If it's any good or worth listening to, I'll or it depends on what sample I had loaded in the Phonogene last. I think it was a bar from Xaos. What else is there? Great tune. Okay, so there we go. Case. Bam. Like I said, I'll pause. I'll see if I can put a patch together, and I'll tack it on right here at the end. But before I do that, I just want to say, Blackhole cases, RIP. What a great company it was. What a great product they made. I've got 4 Blackhole cases, and they're just my favorite. I wish I had a good stand, good desktop stand for them. But 90 HP, what a perfect size. It gives you the 84 that Doepfer gives you, and then just that 4 extra or 6 extra HP is just the icing on the cake. 104, way too wide, but All right, there we go. Let's pause. Okay, here's what we got. Just a quick little patch. I've got some weird glitchy vocals coming out of Worm into Sarajevo. You can hear this is the noise into Rick's mix. Just not very much movement going on, but just a quick little patch. It was about 5 minutes later. I just grabbed a bunch of cables, started plugging them in. Had to pull up the manual for this, and it's cycling through whatever mode it's in. Need to figure out how to factory reset it and start programming, but yeah. I think this is going to be it's going to be a nice case. I think it might hold its own for a little while. So, but anyways, thanks for watching.